All right, welcome back to SEC Football Addiction Sports Talk. Jay on with us. Jay, you staying warm up there?
Man, it's so cold up here. It's crazy. Last night it got 8 degrees.
Oof. Yeah, I got a buddy in Nashville that was telling me it was like 4 degrees. And I was bragging to him about how on Sunday it was 80 degrees here. Well, that didn't last long. Today, I got up this morning and it was in the 20, like low 30s, high 20s. So we're not quite down to your level, but it's even cold in Tampa. So I told you this when we talked on your show too. The best thing I saw on social media this week was Tennessee making fun of that, telling the G League team that Badecco kid came from. I don't know why I said kid there, but why that Badecco player came from, that they're up next. I mean, is that the most satisfying win of the year to be able to take them down like that?
I was surprised by it, even though we've actually beaten them multiple times in a row. I don't know why. Nate's a good coach, and Alabama's a very good team. But I didn't think we'd beat them there. I really didn't. I was surprised. I thought, well, they were up on us by 10 at one point, and I said, oh, this is going to get ugly. And that guy was playing great. He had 10 points quick and was slamming it all over the place. And I was like, oh, crap, this could get ugly. But then Nate Ament went kind of nuts on him, scored almost 30 points, and our two primary guys got hot. And somehow we beat them there. And like I said, everybody and their brother came into my videos and were like, oh, we're so glad you beat Alabama. We're happy.
I don't think the hatred for Bama basketball quite is the same as, football is for obvious reasons. But I'll tell you what, they made an enemy out of themselves with this whole thing. And I was telling you, you got my take on it when I came on your show, but this is the most ludicrous thing. Of all the ludicrous things about college sports, from the NIL to the portal to the coaching stuff with Lane to, a freaking championship being decided in late January, like all of that stuff is stupid. This is the dumbest thing to me. I don't even understand how this is like not the most common sense. No, we're not doing it. But for some reason we are.
It is surprising that they thought that it would work and that it did work.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought, this guy's been 3 years in the pros. Well, I'm not even going to bother with this. Why would I even try? But here's the thing. If you get a sympathetic judge that sees things a certain way, he might find a way, especially I think they were a little short-handed. I think they had a couple injuries. So, here's a guy that's donated a lot of money to the athletic department. He's probably got a bias there he's not even aware of. He probably thinks he's the most fair-minded, and he may be a very fair-minded person, but when you're donating a lot of money, that does not look good.
Yeah. I would not. I could think I was the most fair-minded thing. If something came out that was like, hey, you're in charge of this, and we're gonna give Florida State a 3-score lead in all their games next year, I'd say, sure, bring that on. That sounds fair to me. The fact, and the NCAA even, is like, come on, man. We have an Alabama judge presiding over this. Like, listen, Duke, like they're in North Carolina. We fought in North Carolina courts for the ACC stuff for 2 years. Like, even the Duke judge, was a season ticket holder to Duke basketball and said, I'm going to recuse myself. He said, I think I could do this unbiased, but let me back off of it with the whole Mensa Miami thing. Yeah. Now, that didn't end up going anywhere because they ended up settling out of court. But even he said, yeah, man, this is, even if I do a good job and keep it impartial in my heart, let me just not give any kind of idea that I might not be impartial on this. For the Alabama guy, it's like, no, man, I'm sitting on this case.
Yeah, I would recuse myself if it was Tennessee. I would have to, especially if it was like over the Joey Aguilar thing.
Yeah.
Because I would stamp it, no erases.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you ask me about it, I'm going to give him 2 more years.
Yeah. So I would have to, especially if I knew everybody knew that I had played at Tennessee, for gosh sakes, or knew that now I can't donate that kind of money, but that's just as bad.
Sure. Speaking of bad, the kids I mean, some of them probably are fine with it because they understand what the end result is. But your strength coach is not pulling any punches to get things started here with how offseason workouts are going.
Yeah, I think they're probably in a bit of shock. I'm sure they are because when somebody really works you out that hard, you always see those movies like Full Metal Jacket where the guy's, guy gets rough with you. Now, hopefully he's not I don't think he's like that, but it's, when you start puking while you're working out and the guy's like, I have the buckets ready. That's not a good sign. If I was going into a gym and there was a bucket over there that said, "Here's your puke bucket," I would have a bad feeling going into that. And God, they got to get up the next day and go back in it. So I'm sure it's shocking to them.
Yeah, it's so needed though. Like we talked about this last week. I don't know if it was on my show or your show, but with how they play defensively, it's so needed. Like I remember my coach, and this was like middle, maybe early high school, but middle school. I had one coach that was said, "You're gonna hate me every practice. You are gonna hate my guts," and that's fine because we're gonna party on Saturdays. Like Saturdays are gonna be a lot of fun. And I think when I played for him for 2 years. I think we lost 3 total games. One in the playoffs, one in the regular season, and one at like the national. Like we had won the state and we were going. And so, I mean, he was right. I mean, I'm not saying that Tennessee's going to win all their games because of this, but I do think he had the right mindset. You're allowed to hate me on weeknights, but on Saturdays, he said, you're going to love me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, there's a reason why Tennessee is paying him $1.2 million. He's the highest paid strength coach in the world, just about. And it shocks me, but it might be the best hire Tennessee's had all year, including the Jim Knowles or anything else. Because look, that defense, we fired a lot of people because of that defense, and that's a team that had a real chance to get in the playoffs, and we just blew it.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about where Tennessee needs to improve next year. I know the schedule is an absolute murderer's row, but their last 5 portal pickups have to have you excited because they're all in the secondary. From 3 safety or 2 corners, 3 safeties, they continue to work there, and it's sorely needed. Now, they did get the one kid back, right? The one corner said he was going to leave, ended up coming back. Am I right about that?
Are you thinking Arian Carter?
Yeah.
Okay, now he's a linebacker, a very good linebacker.
Okay.
Wouldn't necessarily be defensive back, but yeah, they've loaded up on defensive backs, cornerback, safety, because that's where we were incredibly weak. And we just got slaughtered back there. It was really bad. And the worst part of the defense, though, is we could not stop the run. And that's the one thing we've been able to do every year since Heupel's got there, except for the very first one. And last year they were running on us too. And it was like, if they can run on you, you're in big trouble because you just get gutted. It's awful.
It's just, and it's so repetitive too. When you're getting when somebody can pass on you, I think almost just mentally, you're like, man, yeah, a quarterback might dice you up, and that's fine. But the physical toll and the mental toll of getting just absolutely run down. I mean, honestly, look at the 2 teams in the national championship. That's all they wanted to do. Not that Beck or Mendoza couldn't pass at all, but all they wanted to do was just run people to death. And when it's that consistent, you're about to get between 4 and 8 yards every single time we hand the ball off. And you're going to like it. That is just devastating for a team. It's what Tennessee did against Florida, and the way that they were able to end that game in the first half. And I don't know if Joey threw 6 passes in that first half. It was just like, yeah, we're going to run you to death here, and we're going to end this game.
That's the team that interests me the most going into next year is whether John Summerall, is he going to be really good or is he going to be a Billy Napier type? That one just intrigues the crap out of me because you know how I feel about Florida. So that's the one I'm going to be watching the most of. But, yeah, having a team run on you, you just can't beat a team that can run on you. You can't beat them.
What are your thoughts on, since you brought Summerall up, let's talk about that for a minute. Did you talk about the whole logo thing on your show?
I have not even talked about that once because it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, now here's what I'll say. The Florida fans are going to watch this and get mad, but they'll be all right. They just want a basketball natty, so they can be fine. Their whining is not relevant here. I understand the concept of it. I think it's corny to tell guys that you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars that they haven't earned anything yet. Like to me, that's a oxymoron. Like, we're not going to let you wear the logo, but we will pay you hundreds, if not millions of dollars to come play football for us. Why is John Summerall wearing the logo? Has he earned anything yet? So like, I don't know. I think that's corny. I also don't think it has any impact on the season. Like, I think fans of a certain team, like with Florida, will be like, oh yeah, this is great. You saw how quickly they sold themselves on this guy being the next Urban Meyer. But yeah. I don't think it impacts the season, good or bad. I think it's completely irrelevant. I do think it's stupid, though. When you're paying these kids this much money, saying they haven't earned anything is, to me, it's just silly.
It didn't surprise me because they're allowing so many different things that the traditionalists are going to hate it, but overall, I don't know that it matters. And then on top of it, it's so funny. I watched Florida, and of course, they were 1,000% on Lane Kiffin. It was like it was him or we're going to be devastated. And then within a week, and they realized, okay, we're not going to get him. They went in on this John Summerall, and this is a guy that they were furious that he was even going to interview with Steve Stroud. I mean, if you even interview with him, we're going to lose our minds. So I think they even canceled that interview.
Yeah.
And then by the time they got him, he's the next whatever, the next savior for us. It's been awesome. I've really enjoyed it.
It went from Lane Kiffin is ours, and there's no doubt about it. This has been signed, and that's been signed. All the pieces are in play. To, man, I'm glad we didn't get Lane. I am so glad. And I don't know how Lane's going to do at LSU. That will be fascinating to watch. But I'll tell you this. They've pulled the number one player at 3 different positions. And guys are, they beat out Miami for a quarterback. And you look at what Miami's done with quarterbacks, from Cam Ward to Carson Beck, now with Mensah. But they wanted Levitt. They really wanted Levitt. And they beat out Miami for a quarterback. And listen, I know that Lane comes with a lot of the off the field stuff, but you're lying to yourself if you say, I'm glad we didn't get Lane now on what's going to end up being a coin flip. Because I'll tell you this, Lane's worst case every year is going to be like what Brian Kelly was. He's going to win 9 or 10 games every year. That's just with the amount of talent they can get. Lane ain't ever going in there and going 6-6. Summerall could go 7-5 this year. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. So I don't know. The way that they have flipped on that has been pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win a lot down there because his offense it'll do well. It always does. If you're winning at Ole Miss, you're going to win at LSU, especially when you're spending $40 million. Here's the worst part of it too. They're all talking about, we front loaded. That's how we're spending $40 million. You front loaded last year. You had the number one transfer portal class last year. You front loaded, so you're not able to front load this year, but you're front loading again. It's just these. Look, just go ahead and say you're spending $40 million. You're breaking the rules and the tampering allegedly, and be done with it. You can do allegedly after you say it, and just that's it.
They are going to win a lot of games. And I think what maybe makes LSU the scariest is that I think Charlie Weiss can really – I think he showed in the playoffs that he can – not that Lane won't have any input, but that he can really run that offense, and it'll free Lane up to be more of that CEO. And when they have more time to actually recruit a high school class and really put that together, and he's got more time to schmooze those donors and everything else, if he gets out of his own way and doesn't let the off-field stuff – distract him, which he's not very good at, let's be honest, then they could win an insane amount of football down there.
Yeah, he's incredibly dangerous down there with that amount of money and the fact that he will break whatever. He doesn't care. Dude, he is a honey badger when it comes to rules. He doesn't care, and he'll never – you can't make him care unless you just really do something. That is very negative to him. That's the only way you stop him from breaking the rules. Like I said, you've got to threaten him the way that Sankey finally did after 5 years of the fake injuries. I don't know how many hundreds of fake injuries he's had. But he finally said, well, it's $50,000, then $100,000, then I'm going to suspend your ass. And we're not kidding. And holy crap, all of a sudden it stopped.
Lane never had another guy injured the rest of the time he was at Ole Miss.
Well,
he
not
was pushing
one
him
where you went, where he was going – doing this on the sidelines, and the guy went, they shot me.
My arm fell off.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd get full circle with this, but talking about Lane breaking rules, he's basically the opposite of your athletic director.
Oh, Lord. Danny do right.
I sent you that article this week. I won't take the time to read the whole thing, but basically these athletic directors that are trying to stick to this cap and stick to this revenue sharing and not spend over and not give extra money, they're all I don't know if panic's the right word. Yeah, let's just say it, whatever. They're all panicking because they were promised that everybody would just get their little pats on the head and do the right thing. And now They're watching Miami's AD come out and say, I don't even think we should have a cap. Like, why we're pretending. Miami's AD came out and said, why are we even pretending? Why are we faking like this is a real thing? Just get rid of the cap and let's go. And, I don't, again, once the toothpaste is out of the bottle, I don't see it going back the other way. But I think these ADs that I saw, we talked about Florida State last time. Alfred came out with, at Florida State, came out with a comment like, well, in a perfect world, this is supposed to be working. And it's like, newsflash, newsflash, newsflash. We told you this wasn't going to work, that teams weren't going to follow this thing. And I guess some people were pie in the sky and thought it might.
Well, when the athletic director comes out and tells you there shouldn't even be a cap, he's basically telling you, we're going to front load every year. Yeah. We're going to spend $40 million. It just depends on how much money we can get from the donors, because he's just, they're just laying the cards out there without laying the cards out. And it's our guy. He knew when he came out with the $304 million that Tennessee took in ticket sales and revenue and all that crap, with all these added things. We've increased our ticket prices dramatically, added taxes to them and everything, talent taxes, that he was going to get deluged because we didn't get a quarterback in the transfer portal, and he had $15 million extra dollars in excess, and we didn't have the money to get a quarterback. So what he did, he came out and he said, well, we have to follow the rules because we're still on probation. And, we signed that agreement. We'd agreed we'd do it. And that's why he came out and did that, because he knew he was going to get pummeled for this. And I hope it doesn't cost Heupel his job. I really hope that they understand that he's not in control of the money.
And even if it doesn't cost, I think coaches are going to get frustrated by this too if they're at these places that are because if you were Josh Heupel, and I think he likes being at Tennessee, I'm not starting a rumor or spreading anything, but you get 2 more years of this where all of your opponents here in the SEC and then everybody outside of the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, all these other programs, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, are spending insane money. Are you going to stay in a place where you're basically got a pair of handcuffs on? Like, even if he didn't get fired, he was still winning enough to be fine. Would you start entertaining other offers where they've got better resources, or not better is not even the word, where they'll just use their resources? I think that would be a concern.
It's scary because we're playing 3 teams that could care less about this house settlement. Texas A&M, and LSU. We're playing 3 of those, of the top 4 that are spending like crazy. How are we playing 3 of them? It just blows my mind how Tennessee just finds the most difficult crap to deal with. It is what it is. And when we get Danny Do-Right, who I think's done a good job, but dude,
it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Jay, thanks for hanging out. You can find him on YouTube, Sports Talk Jay. I just did a live show with him last night if you're watching this on Wednesday morning. So go check that out. I'll link it in the comments. Appreciate you, bud.
No worries.